Welcome to another relaxing long play of Manor Lords. My name is Typical T, and today we press on with the growth of our fledgling nation. We establish our first castle and forward the defense of the realm. So, without further ado, grab a drink, make yourself comfortable, and join me as we relax together. We have our manor under construction. The walls will soon be going up. We've got our dwellings inside here, with the orchards planted, to make sure there is always food within the keep. It's the deep of winter, so we've got no one working in our foresters' huts. There's no need at the moment. And let's go and check up on Frost Check. And look at that, we've got a whole host of houses ready to upgrade to level 2. So let's get those on their way. And we'll do as many of these as we can. And that's going to help massively with the amount of income we're getting just from the burgish plots alone. That's all of those there. We've only got 3 families available for construction. So what we might do, now we've got a little bit of money in the pot, is let's get these foresters out of the foresters' huts. Again, it's winter, so we don't need them there. And we'll get a couple working in the charcoal kiln, but leave the rest open for construction so they can get to work on upgrading the burgish plots so that we don't have too much delay on getting those underway. Wonderful. And we're also going to want to start thinking pretty soon here about expanding our farms and getting a manor down as well. But let's take a look at what the food situation is at the moment. So we've got lots of bread and we've got a little bit of flour left over, but we've made our way through all of the grain. So we don't need anyone working at the windmill, so we can free those workers up. And actually that means we've got plenty enough that we can get some more workers in the charcoal kilns, so we can continue to convert that firewood into the charcoal which we are exporting. And again, it's winter. We don't need anyone at the fishermen's huts, so we can get a few more woodcutters and still have 8 families ready to work on upgrading the properties. Over in Hagstrass, we're doing pretty well for income. We have a decent number of sheep as well by the looks of things. We have a bit of rye flour left over which is still being baked into bread. And you can see we've got 28 rye bread supplementing our food nicely for this region. We've even got a little bit of honey. We've plenty of leather and we've plenty of hides, and we've a bit of wool, and we've started to get some yarn. And we can see we've got a couple of houses here ready to be upgraded as well, so we'll get those on their way. And we'll just make sure that everyone who's moved in here has got some livestock to look after, as we really are starting to fill up this new row of properties. And actually we don't have anywhere left for people to move in, so let's get some additional housing built on this street just behind. And let's turn off road snapping just so we can get this tucked in as close as we can to this corner. And just there. And we'll build those just the same as these ones here. We have 6 families available to make the work on those, which is plenty enough, I think. We might want to start thinking about getting some additional vegetable plots, because we're quite low on cabbages actually. And we've got plenty of fruits, and that's because we do have a lot of orchards here in this region. And once we've got those houses built, what we'll probably want to start doing is looking at building out the manor over here as well, because we should start to have, yeah, we've got a little surplus of dressed stone. Now we've got a decent amount of money here as well. Let's go to the trading post and let's set this to only export dressed stone when we have, let's say, 150 in reserve, so we can keep a bit more set aside. And over in Landlook, we can see we're getting a fair bit of regional wealth now, and that's from, presumably, exporting salt. Yep, there we are. So we're making a lot of money from exporting salt, and it's outweighing the amount we're importing in iron to make our tools, and we're nearly up to 100 tools as well. So once we are, the amount of iron we need should reduce. We have 6 available families, and we don't need quite everyone who's over there in the farmhouse at the moment. Let's check the amount of grain we have. Yep, we've worked our way through all our grain. Nearly. So let's take a couple of workers out of the windmill. And let's get these burgage plots back here ready. So down here we've got vegetables. So what do we have? We've got carrots, beetroots and cabbages. And let's have a look at what we're going to do here. So I'm actually going to delete the vegetable plot we've got here, and instead I'm going to put down some orchards. I think these plots will be better lent to orchards than they will be to vegetables, so we'll get those under construction. And these back here we will make for vegetable plots. Up on the slope at the rear of the settlement. I think they'll suit quite nicely over there. That's wonderful, and actually we've got a few of those ready already, so let's go for apples, pears and quinces, the normal combination there. And what we're going to want to do here as well is also start thinking about that manor and where we want to place it. So in terms of tactical location wise, obviously unfortunately we have lost Haderwand due to a lack of protection. We've got a couple of banners of spear in Hagstrass, so I'm fairly confident we're defended there, and we're going to be improving our manor. Crosscheck can get support from either Rumbach or Hagstrass, but again we'll get a manor there pretty quickly. Manlack is quite far departed though, and they're not going to have any support from Haderwand, so I'm thinking somewhere maybe up by this crossroads might be a good location for a manor or an outpost, or maybe even closer to the border with Haderwand. So that's this pass we're looking at here, which is kind of centre of the valley. Or we could look to place it somewhere nearer the border, perhaps by the clay deposit. Or indeed we could go by the lake proper. Or up on the corner here. And actually I quite like the idea of it being up here, because we can kind of see across the region from up here. Even all the way to our settlement over there. So I think that's probably what we're going to go for, and the chances are if we have brigands come in, they'll come from the edge of the map, so this would be a good place to fortify in any event, and we already have a road running up to the corner here. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to get a manor placed down on the main road up here. And we'll get a garrison tower with that as well. And we're missing a few resources, a few logs, so we'll close that for the moment. And we'll let construction press on, and we'll get an additional family assigned to the logging camp. And let's pop back and see how we're getting on here with the manor. Looks like we're very much still at the bringing resources stage down here. While we push on with construction there, what I think I would like to do is move on over to Hagstrass. And how are we doing for timber production here? We've only got 7 timber, plenty of planks though. So that's telling me we probably ought to be rebalancing the amount of planks we're allowing our sawpit to make. Let's set a reserve of 60 timber. Communal oven exposed. Do we have enough granary workers over here? We've 3. 83% efficient as well. But it's probably time we explored an additional granary, and in fact we've already looked at doing that. So let's get a couple of families over here. And we'll also expand one of those. And back over here. Let's start to think about where we're going to be foresting. It's not going to be up by the manor, because that's where we're going to have the manor. So realistically, it's going to be down here. So to facilitate that, let's get a road popped in here to the field. And along that road, let's build a number of foresters. Let's go for 4 foresters. And then let's get a number of logging huts popped down as well, but it looks like we're going to have to wait a minute because we've used up all our logs, and we're actually going to relocate this one over here as well. And we're going to get those constructed as soon as possible. Let's also relocate one of these. So that's plenty for them to be getting on with. And then later on, when we have more resources, we'll start to plan out our castle. It might not be a bad idea to get a water source set up. We can't get particularly near the manor anyway, so let's not worry about that for the moment. And we've our first residences going up here. So let's head back over here. And we can see our charcoal output is really starting to climb. Make sure that we've got all of our... Yep, we're all good here. And let's start getting a few in here as people move in. Let's go for some goats in these. And we might as well order goats for these ahead of these other families moving in any case. Let's up the priority of the manor to high. I'm not sure whether we'll be able to upgrade these burgish plots once they're within the manor's grounds, but I'm not going to worry too much because actually they're just there to manage the orchards. We don't want them outshining the manor, that's for certain. How are we doing for production? Not great. Doesn't seem that these deep mines really do anything for gathering a reasonable amount of clay. And people here still cold, which is rather bizarre. We have got clothing popping in and out. We've 81 yarn, so we may again, with a population now of 479, need to consider some additional tailors. Having said that, the tailors we do have don't seem to be terribly efficient. So perhaps that's part of the problem. And we've got a few more upgrades we can make down here to level 2. So we'll get those moving along. And we'll just make sure that everyone has got livestock that they can be tending. As our construction workers are busy swarming over the construction of the new manor. And we can see there the entrance gate is going up. A great hubbub of work indeed. And winter is almost at an end. Spring beckons and the thaw almost seems to have started to creep in across the land. Let's select some vegetables here, so let's go for carrot, cabbage, beetroot, and then we'll get an additional carrot on the end. And pretty soon we'll want to start thinking about getting workers back into our forestry huts. And how are we doing up here with construction of the manor? And there it is, nestled in the trees. Lovely. So let's open up the castle planner and commit to the construction of the garrison tower. And what we're probably going to do as soon as that garrison tower is ready is we're going to increase the size of the garrison here, because it'll be a little while till we have a reasonable militia here, if we do have one at all. But a strong garrison should be able to defend the town almost as effectively. Last couple of grain being milled there. How are we doing here? Productivity 76%.
Don't be shy, good
42% there, working at the extensions quite a lot. Let's get an additional family working at the storage facility. And we'll get a couple of families working at the forester's hut. Now we're into the end of winter. And that's something we'll want to repeat across the regions. So let's get some families up in our forester's village up here. So we can work on reforesting this land as quickly as possible. And we'll also get some working down here on this side of the river.
Carrots, cabbages, turnips.
Over in Frostcheck, we're going to want to do the same. Now we're heavily into taking down the trees for the use in charcoal. And we're still about a third of a year away from harvest. So where are we going to put our manor here? Because we are now bringing in a little bit of income. We're kind of situated up here on the hill anyway. There is a valley even down here. But we haven't built a manor yet on inside of bordering the river. And having something, again, kind of on the way into this region will help increase security for when we do settle that region by having troops nearby. So I think what we'll do is we'll bring this road down and we'll settle the manor in this cropping of trees here. Let's build a road to there. And let's place down the manor with a garrison tower alongside it. And we'll let that manor be built and come back to the garrison tower at a slightly later date. The royal tax is really becoming quite the burden. But we are growing towards the day when we don't need to worry about what the Baron thinks anymore. But there's no need to rush getting there. Okay, so with this burgish plot, I think what we're going to do, at least when the level starts to increase, what are we missing here? Meats, fish, animal products. Do we have a shortage of those? We've got 4 carp, a couple of pork. Let's get an additional family working at the fisherman's hut. And let's open up a few more animal pens along this road with the aim of increasing our pork production. But it would be good to get an armourer here pretty soon as well. Oh, we've got a few families here unassigned, so let's get some pigs in for them to tend. And I think we'll go and do the same over in our main region. Let's establish property, probably in the central region, where we seem to be gathering our artisans. And let's evict these chickens, and we'll open up an armourer's workshop. So we can start armouring some of those banners of spear, about 1, 2, 3 of which we have in Burenbach, and also our unit of archers. And in fact, are we... yeah, we're at our limit for the number of extra militia we can raise at this point anyway. It might well be that we want to get an additional unit of archers and replace one of our spears. But we'll see a little closer to the time. We'll be relying on our bannermen for heavy infantry in any case from the manors. And the manor is well under construction here in this region. Yeah, we do have some burying that needs doing. Looks like we did eventually suffer a collapse at one of the salt mines. So let's get a family working at the church so we can put them to rest. We're taking advantage of those mushrooms, which is good. Planting is going on for the trees and for our vegetables. But we do need to get some additional living space here now, so I think what we'll do is we'll probably mimic what we've done with our vegetable plots here. And we'll keep along here. We'll leave space for some additional artisan plots if we want to have some smaller plots like we do down here. But let's get down some more plots which we can dedicate to the production of vegetables. And we might expand these a little on our diagonal because we've got a diagonal road coming down here. So perhaps let's mimic that. Looks like we need to take that road and just edit it slightly where it was running over at the end there. And get these burgish plots laid out. Something like that there. One, two, three. Let's go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because we've already got the additional carrot plot over there. So let's go with that for those. And we'll also start to assign these to animal pens down here. Now we have the finances to make it happen. We may also soon want to look at getting additional planks construction. Maybe it'll just be that we've used those up with building the manor, etc. as well. And we are going to want to take advantage of this clay so we can make roof tiles, etc. as well. So let's get a mining pit set up here in anticipation, or at least we will do when we have more goods. We'll leave them to it for a moment. Doesn't look like we've got any more guard towers up, but we've made some of the wooden walls are now up around the manor. So good progress being made there. And we're creeping closer to the harvest, but not terribly much closer. How are we doing in extracts? Let's get a family assigned to take advantage of those berries. And we have the first of the properties here ready to be upgraded to level 2. So we'll set that one to be upgraded. And while we're doing that, we'll go and check on our new armory here. Nearly there. Let's up that to the highest priority so we can get that set. And how are we doing with these granaries? Reasonably efficient. We'll get an extra family working at this one here. And it looks like our foresters are doing a decent job of planting here. And not quite so good over here. Hopefully they are making good. Oh yeah, okay. There's a fair number of new trees planted there. They'll let them off. We will need those sooner rather than later. And we've got a good stockpile of log here, which is good to see. We may even need to get some more down, so we've got additional storage. Once again, we are out of available living spaces. And how are we doing General production. We could do with more pork being produced by the looks of things. We always need more meat. So let's go for some reasonably small dwellings. And where are we at for fertility? So we've used up a decent part of our rye facility here, but we have plenty more in this area here. We're not going to be growing barley with any great effectiveness. We can grow some emmer here and here. We need to re-rotate some of our fields so they produce emmer as well as rye. But the headline is we're not going to be planting anything here. So we can target this for our next building project. And let's build the road across here, just off the King's Road. And we will snake some properties along a long frontage of the King's Road. What we might even do is go part way. Come across like that. Or even go straight on the first section. Like so. And then let's build some houses along the King's Road here. Wrapping around that first area. Or maybe even leaving a small gap there. Yeah, something like that. And then we'll fit a road in here going around the back of these properties. And we'll continue one across here as well, linking back up to the King's Road at this end. And we'll curve that round this part of the forest back to this road here with the granary. And hopefully these will be serviced by this marketplace here. And we're finally there with our armourer, so we'll set him to making helmets in the first instance. How are we doing for iron slabs? We've only got 16, we've got plenty of iron ore actually, so let's get a few more workers of bloomery. Only 60% efficiency, spending a fair bit of time waiting. So why don't we, down here, build a new bloomery. Right, let's put it up by where we actually get our iron coming in. Right here. And let's set
Cheated him? Never. Perhaps he simply does
one of
not know
these
how to
storehouses up here. Yeah, they're set to receive iron ore, so that's fine. And we'll build an additional bloomery. And we also want to make gambesons. For that though, we're going to need linen, I believe, if we go to our tailor's workshop. Yeah, we'll need linen to do that, which means we're going to need flax, which we've not grown in any of our regions thus far. And I don't think we're going to be growing it here in any great quantities. So let's head on over to our farming capital. Looks like I've barely made a start on the manor, but they've had plenty else to do, to be fair. Yep, so everyone here is set up. And we've plenty of living space being constructed soon. That may well be a different region. I think it's quite updated. Let's add an extra person here. Yep, so we've got 3 available living spaces. So we're going to need more than that. And we're going to need some fruit trees. So once again, let's take a look at fertility. So barley's important. There's some barley facility here, here, here and here. Flax and rye. Melons everywhere. Flax. It's kind of through the centre here. So I think it might be worth putting some housing down here. So let's pop down what are going to be some fruit tree burgish plots. And I think what we'll do is we'll basically fill up the space here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ideally you want me take 3 of those. Yeah, they should be fairly interesting. Let's go for 3 burgish plots there that we're going to use for our fruit tree production. We'll link a road around the back of those. And let's look to get some new farmland set up for some flax production. And with that flax, we can start exporting it through pack stations to those neighbouring regions around us where we're going to be wanting to make gambesons. So let's start in here. Go for about a Morgan in size. We'll just turn off Snapper Road there temporarily. So that's 1 field. And then we'll come back across and fill this space, hopefully, with another one. Actually, I don't mind that. Let's go for that. And then we'll take another one here. That's 3. We'll get a 4th here. Again, looking for about a Morgan in size. And we can fill this space up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's get a 6th set up here. Way too big. Let's dial that down a little bit. Yeah, that's quite nice. I really like the way they cross and kind of seem to continue on the other side of that road there. So let's set some crop rotation up on these. And we're going to down flax. It looks like there's good fertility for wheat, so we'll go flax, then wheat on each of these. Flax followed by wheat. Flax followed by wheat. And then we'll start that little rotation again. We'll go flax, wheat, flax, wheat, flax, and wheat. And we'll get a couple of families assigned to farmhouse. Oh, looks like we never took them out. No wonder everyone here's been so busy. We've got a farmhouse full of people, so they'll crack straight on, I imagine, with taking care of that for us. And we want to get a couple of families actually working on bringing in fish for us here as well. Okay, with those fields under construction, let's head back over here. And let's convert you to an armourer's workshop. And then we'll get these others equipped with some piggies. And finish making these animal pens. And we'll pop an apiary on the end there. Don't need anyone working at that windmill for the time being, so we can free them up. And let's get a veritable army working in these foresters' huts. And let's also get a fair number of people working in these logging camps here. Wonderful, and looks like we've long since used up this mining pit, so let's demolish that. And what's our income like here for iron ore? We have 18 iron ore set aside. And are we trading first of all? We're importing 20 at any given time, that's fine. Okay, how are we doing for helmet production? Yep, looks like our first couple of helmets have gone out to the men. So that's good. Terrible productivity. Let's go down here. Construction on the new burgish plots hasn't even begun. I think that's because the manor is taking so long. Let's put the manor down to medium priority, just to see if we can get some people working on things other than building it. We've still got 7 unassigned families working on construction, so that's a reasonable number. And have we got that bloomery constructed yet? No. Let's set that to a higher priority. Because I'd imagine a lack of iron is the cause of the inefficiency of helm production. And we're down to 25 tools as well. Down to 10 iron slabs. How many workers do we have at the smithy? None? That would be the problem. Let's get 2 workers in there. And double check that they're set to make tools. Yeah. And then how are we getting on here with the new residential project? Let's immediately get these set up. Oh, not quite yet. Still lacking planks actually over here. So let's take a look at saw pit. So 40 logs spare. We're not quite there yet, so I'm actually going to reduce that to 25. And I think let's get an additional logging camp or 2. And you know what? That animal deposit's useless to us, so I'm not going to worry about lopping it down. So let's get some additional loggers there, ready. And we're still a fair ways off for production in terms of harvesting. And we've farmers hard at work here. It may even be worth getting our 3rd farm building set up here. And let's put that just here. And we're well up on charcoal now, which is good. Let's get down to the armourer's workshop. We want them making helmets. To equip the men. And again, we're a little way off on the fields. We don't need that many people at the farmhouse, doing nothing currently. With those families freed up from the farm, let's get a few more workers down here at the logging camp. Let's even go for 2. And let's build a couple more of those logging camps as well. So we've got greater levels of storage available to us. For logs, so when we come to upgrade our manor, we've plenty of material with which to do it. And I think it would be good as well to start thinking about expanding some housing along here. So let's go to burgish plots And why don't we follow the King's Road here and back onto the mines. So we've used up all our resources, so we'll revisit that, but I think that's probably a good place to put them. The manor here is at 16%, it's quite far away, and actually something we never really did here was increase the number of mules we had now that we have, or oxen rather, now that we've got the finances. So let's rectify that. Let's get a bunch of hitching posts placed down all over the place. And have we got a livestock trader? Got a regular trading post, but I don't think we do, so let's get on and get a livestock trading post down as well. We'll pop that one there. And let's get an ox ordered while we can as well, because that charcoal is really starting to bring in the goodies for us here now. How are we doing here? Still really low on productivity. And we've masses of construction to be done here, so the main region is going to be a little bit deadlocked for a while. Let's increase the priority on a couple of these burgish plots so that we have got somewhere for people to move into, so we're not wasting any of our migration. Because it really would be good to start taxing this region again at some point, especially as the annual royal tax is now 1,000. We really do want to make sure we've got space for people to be moving in. We're halfway there though, on the manor, allegedly. But I'm pretty sure there was a wall here earlier, and I don't see it anymore, so that'll have to be, we'll have to wait to see on that one. Well, there we go actually, as soon as we upgraded the priority on those, they started being put together. It looks like quite a few of them already have the materials here ready. And where's that little market? It's up here. So I think it's probably time we got a couple of additional families working at the large storehouse and the granary, because they're going to be supplying a larger region now. And they're ready for upgrade right away, so we'll crack on and get that done for them. Wonderful, and let's upgrade that to a stable. Get an extra oxen ordered. All looks well down there. Over in Manor, let's get these burgish plots. Still haven't got planks. Let's up the priority on getting some of these logging camps assembled. We've got a reasonable number of logs, but not enough for what we want to do. The manor at least is in place. And with some of that regional wealth we have, we're going to take a look at the retinue here, and let's hire in a full division of retinue, and let's also upgrade all of their armour, at least down to where we have about 1,000 in reserve to pay the royal tax. And this will prevent this region from coming to the same fate that its neighbour did by having a localised defence force. And there we have it. The Manor retinue is ready to defend the local population. I think it's probably only right that we tax them for that privilege. Let's go straight to 4% taxation. Although, it might be a bit harsh given that we basically don't make any money here. Not yet, anyway. It's still just the export of the salt that we're producing here. And we're not producing enough of that just yet to warrant a large tax. We're also trading it away for other resources. So what are we doing with our pack station these days? Yes, we're bringing in pork. So once we've got a decent surplus of our own pork, which we'll get by buying in pigs when we have the finances, then we won't need to be trading away any of our salts to do that. Let's get a couple of workers in the logging camp there. And down here, let's get some apiaries. We don't have loads of apiaries, so that might be a nice thing to put down here to help increase fertility in the local fields. So we'll build those there. Still got 100 days to the harvest. And look at that. Rumbach is certainly starting to come together. With those apiaries under construction, let's head on over to our foresters. And let's set them up a working area, because I'm worried they're rather straying from the area we want them to be working in. So that looks pretty good. Basically everything up here on this side of the road. So we'll do that to each of these foresters' huts here. There's definitely space in there to be planting trees, so I don't think they need to be walking off to the other side of the river to find space. Lovely, so pop those there. Halfway there on the manor construction allegedly. So we'll leave them to it, and we'll believe it when we see it. But we're looking good for food, we're looking good for fuel. And it's not going to be that long until we're finding space. We're finding a workforce to work on the harvest across our regions. What are we doing here? Up to 37 timber, 30 planks. So having the additional foresters camp does seem to be helping with things. And these fruit trees are coming along nicely here. Got a lovely amount of vegetables planted up here, and we've also got them on the slope over here as well. Then up through the tree line, the manor and the retinue stand over to protect all. It'll be a while though till they have any walls or significant structures. So while we do have the available timber, we'll at least get these ready to be vegetable plots. And once we've done that as well, we're going to want to expand those so there's additional living space. And let's check that everyone along here has animals. Let's get some more pigs. These are pretty good for hides here. And we have 6 available plots for people to move into. And how are we doing for timber? We've got a bit more available to us now. So let's commit on that earlier planned line of properties here. Let's extend that a little bit there. And that looks pretty good. Let's double these up. And we'll build those there. And maybe we'll do something on this side of the road as well. Maybe even make some plots. Let's go to this road here. Let's get rid of this one as well, actually. Build that little bit of road in there. And then we can have some burgish plots on this side of the road. And maybe let's come from here, see if we can get right into that corner. And what's an interesting shape? That's quite nice, actually. And let's make these vegetable plots. So we'll go for 3. And we'll build those there, because we don't have a massive vegetable production here. How are we doing for armaments? So, yeah, we've got a reasonable number of helms already, actually. So that's pretty good. 45% of the way there with the manor here. And we've got a couple of properties ready to upgrade here as well. So we'll get that well on its way. And we've got plenty of money, so let's set these up for fruit trees. Construct some orchards. And we want to expand those living places pretty quickly soon as well. Have we got leather? We've got plenty of hides. No leather. So let's get a tannery set up. And we'll just pop that. Ooh, perfect. In that little space there. And how did we do here? It looks like we're actually going to get some flax this year as well. So we might as well set these fields up ready to receive sheep. And where's our... upgrade those to stables. And let's visit our livestock trader, which is here. Get a man working there. And we want to import oxen. We want to have about 10. That sounds pretty good. Make sure all these are upgraded to stables. Wonderful, some decent progress there. Actually got a few orchards here, so I'm to start thinking about getting some vegetables. And this forested area here might be a good place to expand into for that. Let's take a look at fertility. Not good for flax, so perfect for rye. And emmer. It's barley, so we don't want to be doing it there. What about down by the river? The barley fertility does continue into that space. Flax is great for there. Inevitably we are going to end up building over something fertile. So possibly some houses along here might be a good option. So let's go along the road here. Royal tax going up again. Let's have 3 plots there. Build the road in behind. And go for another 3 behind those. Perhaps even a little larger. Perfect. Making use of farms of a different kind. Construction continues on the manor. And we have a couple of burgish plots ready for upgrading here. Quite conscious that our main source of income is this village. This town rather. We're not gathering any taxation from it. So let's set the manor to the highest priority and see if we can't get that done. And let's have a look actually, how are we getting on for helms? Yeah, we started making a few. within Burenbach. I think we are going to want an additional family though, working on their production. So we're going to change you to an armourer's shop. And over here, we're starting to get some additional planks and timber. And so, hopefully soon that will follow with some additional income. How are we doing on salt? We've got a fair bit of pork now. I think I'm probably going to cancel the import of pork. So we'll just set this to none. And we'll unassign that family. And we'll go and do the same over here. Because it's not really necessary at the moment. And that's going to free up an additional family in both areas as well. Stables are coming along nicely in frost check. Let's get an additional family working in that mine there so we can bring in even more salt. That being our primary and only real export at the moment. I suppose most of our money is going on buying iron ore. We're up to 100 tools, so hopefully we won't need to continue buying in iron ore at such an extensive rate. What we probably want to do is set a cap on the amount of iron slabs we can make. Let's go to the bloomery, and we only need about 50. So that way we don't buy in iron ore endlessly. I don't think we're going to be raising any banners from over there, so we don't need to worry about having too much iron ore available. Just 60% on our first major manor. And we have sheep in the hundreds. I imagine we have a lot of wool as well. Yeah, I think what we could probably do then is we can open up a trade route for wool, because we're not turning all of it into yarn. And let's have a surplus of 100, and then we can export it. We'll establish a trade route. And how about yarn? Yeah, we are using all of our yarn to make clothes, and we're still not quite there, being on top of shoes and clothes. How are we doing for leather? We've got a little bit of leather, so let's check in with our cobbler. So we've got a leather reserve. Let's move that to 6, so we don't actually have enough leather really. How are we doing for hides? Yeah, we're working our way through our hides as well. That tells me we need to start increasing the number of goats we have available to us. So let's set up animal pens here. And we'll turn this entire row into animal pens for goats. And that way we can increase the number of hides we have available to turn into leather. We'll work our way across these and get all of those set up for that. Wonderful. People continue to settle across our regions. And we're getting pretty close to the harvest now. Let's get these set up for vegetable production. And we'll do the same of these two here. And let's expand. Oh, let's not expand the living space. Let's plant some pears, apple, and quinces. And then expand the living space. A lovely sized orchard, that one. There'll be plenty of pears for everyone. And over in Hagstrass, our second largest region. What are we struggling for? Taxation to an extent, by the looks of things. Let's get an additional family. A couple of families working in the various granaries and storehouses we have across the region. And it may be worth as well adding in a few more as we expand. And let's put them down here. And put a market for them on this corner. And we're down to 6 months on fuel. We have plenty of people at the charcoal kilns. Got an extra couple of families working there, but we shouldn't really be short. Hopefully. Don't look terribly useful, those foresters. I think we may again need to set up a work area. Not sure what happened there. So let's go basically nestle in at the bottom here. And we'll do that for all 4 of these foresters' huts. Just to make sure that they're planting in the right place. And the last one there. Like so. We have got enough tools that we should be conducting repairs, so I'm going to ignore that message. Plenty of space for people to move into. Plenty of animals to be looked after. Still fish being harvested. And crops nearly ripe for the picking. Cross check. We are struggling on food. Just 3 months food left. The harvest is coming soon, so we'll be able to produce some bread with that. And with the additional plots we've got planted up here, we've not been taking advantage of the mushrooms as a problem. Right, we're going to assign 4 families to that straight away. And we're going to unassign 3 from the charcoal kiln for any construction needs, so they can get to stripping the mushrooms from that resource node to tide us over, hopefully, until we start to get some fruits produced. And then also get some bread baked. And quite quickly this is turning into quite the busy large village. Have we got the manor? 90% on construction for the manor as well. Let's get an additional family set there at the fisherman's hut. We have no such food issues here. Actually, we're 89% on the manor now. So let's watch that under construction for the moment. We have the main gates set up. A lot of the fences, the wall, have gone up. So hopefully some guard towers will start to go into production soon. And the manor will be built and we can get back to taxing our people. There we have them. Hard at work. Lovely, right, we'll leave them to it. And let's check how we're doing for general resources here. With loads of salt from the trade we were doing. With wool, yarn, little leather. Struggling a bit for iron slabs. Let's get that bloomery working that we built over here. And we want 100 iron slabs at any given time. It might even be that soon we're able to start trading away food because our orchards are vast and getting vaster. And we do make a lot of carrots and cabbages. And soon to have a fair bit of bread as well. Year to year. We've even got 91 rye bread now. And then look how we're doing. We've gathered a little bit more wealth from trading away our salt. No one needs to be working there at the forager's hut anymore. Let's build that clay mine we never got quite around to doing. And connect a road back around to the King's Road for that. Exposed goods, we'll put your goods inside then. And we've got an abundance of food and supplies in this region. Particularly like the fields here with the tree line behind. Seem to be a manor behind. Fortification. And let's hop back across the border. Look at that, 99% on the manor. Let's watch them finish construction here. As the last couple of watchtowers are popped together. And hopefully a manor is built next to our garrison tower. And at least the manor will be ready for the winter. And there it is, springing up off its foundations now. Certainly is a hive of activity, lots of people within the manor grounds. And finally, it's good to have a manor and surrounding buildings that's fit for the region that it governs. And there it stands. We've got our two lovely burgish plots inside, growing trees. And we have the castle itself. And castle level grand. Ooh, lovely. 8,934 meters squared in the Bailey area. And then what do we have here? So, ooh, so what that cost? 10 mortar, 20 dress stone. And what will upgrading this will cost? 36 dress stone. Oh, and you can add that walk to it as well. Exciting. So let's start then with upgrading the manor itself and the garrison tower. And let's commit to that. Just as they thought construction was complete on the manor, they're back to work again. And how are we doing with the fields? It looks like indeed harvest time has come. So let's free up workers from our foresters' huts and funnel them into the farms. And we'll also gather these foresters as well, so they too can help with construction. And we need to do that across our regions, so we've pretty much gathered all those mushrooms, which should see us through the winter, which is perfect. So let's take men who are foraging and send them to work on the farm. And we can also take our foresters from this region and set them to work on the farm. And we'll temporarily take our loggers and charcoal kiln workers because we have a more than decent stockpile of those resources. So we'll get them to work on the farms. And over here we'll assign plenty to work on these ones too. And what we're also going to do is we're going to address each of these areas. So we're growing rye one year And then what we'll do the following year is grow rye again. So it looks like we've plenty of fertility. We could even do a bit of flax or barley. Let's do wheat because it's the second highest. That's 60%. And we'll do the same with these. We'll put wheat down for the year after. And we'll watch what that does to fertilities to make sure we're not draining the fields. But we're still giving them 1 year of fallow. So hopefully that'll be enough. And we're going to do the same in these fields here. Start from the left and work around. So we've got barley normally. And then let's do rye on the other year. And we'll do that for all of these. There seems to be plenty of fertility to do that. And where we've got wheat, we'll follow that with barley. Seems like 70% fertility, which is pretty good. And then finally on these ones here as well, I'll do the same. Wheat. A field that's only fallow. Let's do wheat followed by barley. Wheat followed by barley. Wheat followed by barley. Wheat followed by barley. And wheat followed by barley. Perfect. And then down here we've got flax followed by wheat. So we've already done that with the rotation on those. Let's head on over to Rumbach. And we'll do rye. Followed by flax. It's very low fertility. But hopefully it will allow us to make at least a couple of gambesons locally. And with some locally made gambesons, we stand a decent chance of equipping all of our men with them in a relatively short space of time. And down here we'll go for wheat because the flax output here is dismal, as is the barley. But 45% on the wheat is acceptable, I think, to make it worth actually farming the land. And then over here as well, we need to assign all those families, reduce the number of logging camp workers we have, so we've got a few people spare. And on these fields, we'll do the same with rye followed by wheat, I think. And we'll just do that to all of these, and that should significantly increase our output for the size of the land that we have. And how are we doing here for dress stone? We've got 31 dress stone. Imagine that's coming from this pack station here. So we're sending tools and receiving malt actually. So how are we getting in dressed stone? I'm not entirely sure. We've obviously traded for it at some point because we have some lying around. We are going to need to have it being imported though. So let's set up an additional pack station right on the border here. And we'll do the same over here. We'll pop down the pack station just here. Maybe just here. We'll connect that road back there. And what can we be trading? What do we need here that we're not producing domestically at the moment? We've got 170 tools. That's more tools than we need. Where is our... smithy? Hiding here somewhere. Logging camp, stable, Woodcutter's Lodge, pack station, oven, malt pack, tannery, storehouse, granary. That's what we've been doing. We've not actually done that. We've been importing tools directly. That's what we need here, tools. And we're exchanging that for malt at the moment. What else could we do? We could send charcoal, I suppose. Would impact a little bit on the money we make, but not terribly. But it's not actually here we'd be trading with, it would be in this region here. So what are we doing with our pack stations here? So it was once set up for carrots selling. That's how we got hold of it. So dress stone, what can we receive here that would be useful that we produce over there? So actually this region is swiftly becoming more profitable than that of Burenbach. Plenty of timber, plenty of planks. All roof tiles. Even though we don't have a strong clay deposit here. More fruit. More pork. Don't have stacks of charcoal or firewood. So we could do charcoal. Okay, let's go for charcoal. So let's set up the pack station we have here. Got a family working there. And we're going to trade with Greenback, and we want to receive charcoal. We're going to send a dressed stone. And we need to get this constructed. Speed things up a little bit. Everyone's busy working on the manor, obviously. To spare time working on a simple pack station. We've got 1.4k in charcoal, so that's going to be a good resource for us to trade away. Can we see how we're doing at the manor? Looks like they're still constructing it. It's low priority to high. And hopefully that means we can get this pack station constructed with our limited families we have available at the moment. You can see the farmers hard at work in the field. Oh, no one really wants to come and build this pack station, do they? You issue orders, and you expect them to be followed. There we go. Finally, they've respected the wishes of their Manor Lord. As well they should. Although it does largely seem to consist of just digging at the moment. Some oxen delivering materials. A busy road here, in and out of the region. The larger our town gets, the more inefficient it becomes. But such is progress. And there we go. So order a mule, get someone working here. We're trading with Frostcheck. We're selling charcoal, and we're receiving dressed stone. Oop, not Frostcheck. Extras. Project do not have a dress stone. So we're 86% of the way there. Bringing in materials for the new manor. I don't know why they felt the need to take down the outer guard posts, but yeah, I'll leave it to them. They're the experts in construction. And how are we doing at the fields? Looks like we're busy getting the new crops into the ground. And how are we doing here for trades? So we're importing a lot more than we're exporting. That's because we're not really making anything from the tiles, which was originally meant to be this region's main source of income. We were making a bit from spears, but not much. It looks like we're not exporting large shields, so we'll want to get that started soon. Making a bit of money from wool, a little bit from salt. We spent a lot of money importing rubble. The finances of this region are starting to look a little bit tenuous. Let's go to the trading post. And large shields. We can't even afford a trade route for it. And we don't seem to be making very many small shields anymore. So let's take a look at our joiners. 94% efficient, making wooden parts. Are we exporting a reasonable number of wooden parts? The environment certainly started to change, isn't it? Not exporting any wooden parts. How many do we have sat around? 579. They are set to export. We never opened a trade route. Okay, let's gloss over that. We'll set that to 20. That has spent most of our regional wealth, but we have got a lot of wooden parts we can export. Still making large shields. And we're still making small shields. But not quickly. We could probably get another joiner making small shields. And maybe that's something we can do with some of our new properties over here. Let's do it to you straight away. And how are we doing elsewhere with getting crops sorted? Got plenty of wheat sat around ready to be turned into grain. And it looks like we're still working on ploughing, getting things sorted. Okay, that's fine. It's probably the same case over here. Let's get some additional families working on it here actually. It's a busy time of year. And we're doing the last of getting the fields ready before winter sets in. The last of the ploughing and the sowing that we can get done in this year. We probably are going to need to add some additional farmhouses ready for next year, because now we're utilising more of the fields every year. There's a significant amount more planting and ploughing to be done. There we have it. The snow is setting in. So let's unassign our workers from the forestry huts. And we'll leave a handful of workers in each of the farmhouses to take care of turning our various harvests into grain. And we'll go through each of our settlements in our different regions and perform the same task. And especially over in Frost Check, we'll get people back on the job of cutting wood and of producing charcoal. And then of course we're going to need a number of families working the windmills. And we have families working at the communal ovens as well, so that's perfect. While we're in the area, we'll get an upgrade or two done as well. And these plots are ready for planting, so let's get carrots, cabbage, get a couple of beetroot and another cabbage. We'll have to wait for that one to be finished with construction. Over in Brunsbach. We can see that we are going to get some flax next year. It's not very much, but it may well be. That makes all the difference in terms of how much importing we need to be doing. So we'll just go through and perform the same service with relation to the farmhouses. And then we'll get some workers up at the windmill. We already have 3 there. May even be worth building an additional windmill on this side of the river, if we can find somewhere reasonably efficient that isn't in a tree line. Oh, that looks pretty good. So we'll pop that down there, and that's freed up plenty of workers to get back to work on the manor upgrade over in Mandluck. Looks like we're already done turning everything into grain here. In fact, did we harvest anything here at all? Oh yes, 131 rye flour. We're actually already done at the windmill as well. So what we need to do is make sure that we've got some workers at the communal oven. If indeed we have already built the communal oven, it might be that we have not. Doesn't appear so. Get a few more workers at the logging camp. And get a communal oven constructed. And we'll pop it down here, near the church. And bread may even become an additional export of Mandluck because we don't have the need of it at the moment for food. We've plenty of food and we've an abundance of burger spots we'll be opening. And now we've got the money. What have we got here? We've got double carrots so far, so let's go for cabbage, beetroot, cabbage, beetroot, carrot. And let's also get these properties upgraded with extensions, living expansions rather, so we've got some additional residences for people to move into. Lovely, in the woodland manor, looking out on the region of which it governs. And that's upping our timber intake, and we've got a number of planks, got plenty of planks, so that's good. Let's actually move this logging camp out with the others. Head back on over here. It's making a lot of money in this region now, so let's increase taxation to 10%. That's all been turned to grain, so we'll reduce the number of workers. We really are cleaving into this land with the trees. Hopefully, next year we'll be able to get enough forester hut workers to make up the difference. Just in case, maybe let's add another couple down here. And let's see if we can't add another quarry. So let's pop that one just here. And we'll connect it up on both sides. So we have plenty of workers available. And as far as production goes, it's going pretty well. We've got lots of hide, lots of leather. So where is our tannery? Got a livestock trading post down here, small stable, 11 tannery. Let's get another couple of workers in the tannery so that we have plenty of leather being produced. And then we've got the armourer here making helmets. Let's make his neighbour. Oh, he's not quite Burgish plot level 2 yet. Let's go to one of the level 2s then, and we're going to set them to be a cobbler's workshop so we can make more boots, which we can sell on the open market. We also really probably ought to be exporting mortar, because it's over 50. Let's stop smelling. Let's stop selling rubble, and instead let's use that rubble to make mortar. And let's not export mortar either. Let's just keep exporting the dressed stone once we're over a certain amount. And then maybe we can start exporting some shoes. And how are we doing on wool? We've got a couple of wool now, and we've also got one yarn, so wherever we've got our workshop down, Weaver's workshop, we are making yarn, so we're also going to want to get a household set up as a tailor's workshop. So we'll open that up there. And that hopefully should boost our income a fair bit. And down here, let's get these set up for vegetable plots. And how are we doing? Got loads of pork. We might even be able to export that. We could do some more chicken though. So why don't we set these up to provide us with chicken. Oh, accidentally did that one as vegetables. We'll have to come back to that one. And we have our cobbler set up. Let's set a reserve of leather of 20. Otherwise you can make as many shoes as you like. And you're going to be making clothes. As many as you can. We could also open a bower's workshop if we felt so inclined. We are going to need a brewery eventually. And we could set up a bakery, but I'm quite happy with the communal bakery we have. So we'll leave it at that for the time being. We've only got 30 tools. So let's check in on the smithy. And let's up that to 80. And how are we doing for iron and iron ore? 45 slabs, 40 iron ore, that's fine. Let's get an additional 6 workers at the quarry because we can. And how are we doing for stone? 23 rough stone. So we probably are going to want to open up an additional stonemason station now that we have got more stone coming in. So let's get that set up next to its neighbours. Broomback has some coal people, and the world tax has gone up again, rather predictably. So everyone has done their jobs here, so we can free them up. And we've got space for people to move in, which is grand. And have we got, in the last harvest, any flax? We've got 141 flax here. So with that flax, let's check in with our... well, let's build, should I say, a weaver's workshop, which we've probably got space to pop down in here. Yeah, I'm actually already had... so we built it. I thought we had one. A livestock trading post. Okay, well we'll get rid of that. We don't need two. And we'll get a weaver's workshop constructed. And we'll set them to making linen. And we can sell that linen, or perhaps even make some clothes as an additional source of income. So let's turn this over to a tailor's workshop. We might even exchange gambesons with a neighbour. So we'll get those two constructed. Nearly there. Okay, so let's set them up to make gambesons with a linen. No, we'll make it all into gambesons, I think, for the time being. And let's get 3 weavers at the weaver's workshop. And they're going to be producing linen and yarn, but just linen for the moment because we don't actually have any sheep here yet. But now we have some money. That is something we could look to do. So we'll just check thoroughly this time. We don't already have a sheep farm constructed somewhere. Nope, doesn't look like we do. Let's get another ox ordered. And let's build a sheep farm, which we'll put out next to the livestock trading post. And we'll go to the livestock trader. And let's get in 20 sheep to start us off. And we already have these set up with pasture space, I believe. Yep. So we'll speed things along and we'll just get someone installed working at the sheep farm. While that's happening, let's pop back over the border here. And just make sure we get someone working at that stonemason station. And reassign this to chicken, which is what it should have been originally. And let's get someone working there. Excellent. Back in the Heartland. The manor has been completed. Let's up taxation here to 10%. And look at that, our first ever stone manor. People are stood around, a retinue perhaps, talking about the grand new building we have here. And so they should. We're up to 108 dressed stone, 427 mortar, so quite possibly soon we'll be looking to upgrade this to stone walls, so it truly will be the talk of the regions when we do that. First of its kind. I can't wait as well to see these trees mature in the grounds of the manor. And construction now with the other projects in the region is coming along at pace. They're set to make small shields, which is perfect. How are we doing on clothes? We're still not massively up on clothes. We've lots of wool, we're making a reasonable amount of yarn. It might even be worth opening up an additional weaver's workshop. Because we are starting to outstrip them with the amount of wool we have available for them to weave.
Bread, freshly baked and still warm from the oven.
Right, we already built one with that intent, so we'll get a number of people working there. And how we do with milling all of our grain. Still got a bit of rye grain left to mill, so we'll leave the windmill in operation for the moment. And we've got this one here for next time. And we've got rye and some wheat ready for next year. But let's get some additional fields down for next year. There isn't really anywhere worth getting flax down, but rye we can do. So let's get an additional 6 fields. These are going to be quite narrow but long. In fact, even more so than the previous ones. Let's turn off Snaps Road and get one Morgan. And we'll do the same with the next one. We may even want to extend into this area separately, so... yeah, let's do that actually, so let's not go quite ridiculously as long as that. Let's instead... we've got a road going down here, so that splits it nicely. So we'll just come down halfway-ish. And come up like so. That's 3. Make this one slightly wider. 4. We'll take the road down, which is delete that road. Reinstate it where it was going through previously. And come across here, check where that fertility was. And then start curving around here. Like so. Wonderful. Bring our other fields off of there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we get 6 here. Which still leaves space inside here for some additional fields. And we'll do crop rotation on each of these. And similar to last time, we're going to do rye followed by wheat. Rye followed by wheat. So rye, rye, followed by wheat. Rye followed by wheat, and finally, you guessed it, rye followed by wheat. Full wheat followed by fallow, followed by whatever. Right. So, I imagine people will be out helping those fields before too long. Let's set up a work area for that farm. And also for this farm here. That's a pack station. Limit the area they can work in, so they're not off working fields that are too far away. Gold down here, eh? How are we doing for coverage with this market? Yeah, not great on general goods. So maybe let's get a couple of extra workers here to help with the supply. And let's also get an additional farmhouse constructed, just in case we need that additional workforce. And how are we doing over here? So we've got a little bit of spare labour. So we'll get them working at that mine. Still working at the surface deposit. We'll keep that one family standing by, ready at the farmhouse. And we'll get a family working in the forager hut, ready there. Wasn't fully ploughed. Looks like they're taking care of that for us. And also the people from that one there. So hopefully they should be able to take care of that without any too many issues. And how are we doing on turning that flax? Already got 10 gamazons, which is wonderful. And how are we doing for malt? Don't know. Let's see if we can find it in our records at all. Interesting. Right, so it's March. Let's make sure we've got a reasonable number of workers back in working on our foresters' huts. Maintain our forestable land. So we've got a couple of workers in each of these. We'll lose a few off there. So we're finishing off something here. We'll get an extra worker in that farmhouse. Redistribute some labour. And get some vegetables planted in these. We've chickens aplenty. And I think it would be good to get some additional barley fields. So let's expand into this little woodland area here. So I might go for some slightly larger plots here. Maybe 1.5 Morgan. And we'll just take Snap Road off. 1.7, we'll take that. Let's do 3 fields roughly the same size. 1.8. 1.6. Ooh, I like that. Like that a lot. 1.7. Filling in against these properties there. Let's get one up here as well. 1.7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need a 6th on this side. Which can be a massive 2.6 Morgan. Maybe let's take that across there a little bit more. Yeah. 2.5. And let's set these up. So for starters, let's get an additional farmhouse. How are we doing here? Still ploughing from that one. We've got 4 available living spaces. Let's quickly get that set up. So let's put carrot. Should have been something else. But let's get these living spaces expanded. So we can cope with more migration. And it would be good to get the church upgraded. For that we're going to need to do some importing. Let's import some rubble. We want 40 at any given time. Let's construct a lime kiln. Which we'll pop down here. So we can use that to make mortar. And we have clay. Access to clay at any rate. So we'll get this popped down here so we can get some clay. And we'll get a clay furnace there so we can make some roof tiles. And that gives us hopefully everything we need to upgrade the church. Dress stone. That we're going to have to import. Well, that'd be very, very expensive to open a trade route. Not too bad actually. Let's import. And we need 20 of that. Saves on opening up a pack station. Found Debbie Daisy. And we're definitely going to want another farm building to accommodate all these additional fields. Which we'll pop just here. Connect that back to the road like so. And where we've been expanding, let's try and get some additional sources of water. Keep ordering those extra oxes as well. And are we done? Nope, we're still sowing. That's fine. So I don't think we can afford to activate these fields just yet. So we'll leave them as they are. How are we doing for sheep? Yep, got our first couple of sheep in here. We've got a bit of wool being produced now. So that'll be taken to be turned into yarn as well as our linen. So, over from Grinback. What is it here that we could export? Well, I'll tell you what, we could probably export mortar. Or indeed carrots. You could export ale back, I suppose. Yeah, we have some plate armor. That's not right. Where do we have our additional armor? You're making helmets, which is perfect. Did we open an additional armourer? I feel like we did. There he is. You should be making mail armour. Useful as plate is for saving money, it's mail armour we need more. To equip our own level 3 residents. What are we missing down here? Clothing, it's still clothing and beverages that are holding us back. Well, we're working hard to plug the gap on clothing. And once we have more malt coming in from over here, that should help stabilise the alcohol problem. And what do we need more of? Pork is fairly stable. Yeah, let's go for goats. It's going to give us a bit of both. And we're still working on these fields. So let's get some additional workers in them. They're not currently being used for construction, so that's okay. And let's go over to this pack station. And we want to be trading with Frost Check. But this time we want to be... No, in fact you still are working on that, aren't you? Tools for malt. We haven't got many tools though. How are we doing for iron? No iron. Why isn't the bloomery working? Well, let's get an additional bloomery running. I believe we built an additional bloomery. Question is, where did we do it? Not over here. Not in any event, we definitely need another one. We'll build 2 of them there. What could we trade instead? Could send large shields. We could send honey, potentially. Or pears. Let's go for pears. So let's change this. We're going to send pears. We're down for malt. And we'll get this station set up here. Bring with Broomback. And we're going to send Gambesons. And we're going to receive wooden parts. Of which we make quite a few over there. So hopefully that should start to even out between the 2 regions. Let's get a couple of families working on the fisherman's hut. And hopefully before long, we'll be able to build our own church. Increase the level of it at least. And we don't have loads of spare labour, so I'm not going to embark on upgrading our manor any further just yet. And over in Mundluck, we are now making a little bit of money, so let's get that taxation up to 8%. We're really starting to clear out the forest over here as well, so with those additional 3 families we have, let's get down some foresters' huts out here on the King's Road. And the harvests are looking good. And we've got a couple of residences ready for upgrading here. So we'll jump right on that. Get those up to level 2. And we're really starting to get a lot of sheep here now, which is great news. And we've still got a couple of families finishing off in the field, so we really do need to look at our field labour location going forwards. That's all we have time for today, friends. I hope that you found this as relaxing to watch as I found it to make. As always, I appreciate you and your feedback. Until next time, cheerio.